Welcome to Thursday, the 21st day of April 2022. Your forecast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily, Wyoming's news authority. Visit them at cowboystatedaily.com and on their Facebook page. Lots to go over, folks, as the storm, folks, is on track. No major deviations in the modeling. In fact, our confidence is just getting higher and higher on this storm. It's going to be very impactful for some of you. Temperatures are going to bounce back today with stiff southeast winds in many areas today and tomorrow. You get into the eastern plains of Colorado, western Kansas, western Nebraska, eastern Wyoming, southeastern Montana, east of the Divide. It's going to get very windy today and tomorrow, but it's also going to get windy for you folks on the western slope of Colorado, back into Utah, down into New Mexico and Arizona. There will be strong winds ahead of a strong storm that's now hitting the California coast. Rain, snow, and thunder is coming Friday into Saturday. There's going to be a few areas that could have severe weather tomorrow afternoon and evening in parts of Nebraska, Kansas, and Colorado, maybe extreme eastern Wyoming. Everything but the kitchen sink is coming our way. Travel and livestock interests. We mentioned this yesterday in these areas. Be prepared, especially in central, the northern parts of Wyoming, the western Dakotas, southern and eastern Montana. Confidence is really high. We're really at the point now where we're close enough to the event, and the computer modeling is very much in agreement. So it would really take an act of God for this storm to turn around and for something to change. We do see a return to mild conditions by next week. I think for most of next week, probably looking at another storm system by next weekend. We'll talk about that at a later date. Got this great shot from Matt Edwards up in the northern Bighorn Mountains. A nice shot of some snow removal activities going up in the northern Bighorn Mountains earlier in this week. They're going to have to bring these back out. I know a lot of road clearing going on up into Yellowstone and higher mountain passes, but this next storm is going to deposit a ton of snow in the mountains of Montana, Wyoming, and part of the mountains of Colorado. So this is a job that's going to have to get back to work after this storm clears on out. Today's satellite imagery shows it's a little diffuse, but you can see cloudiness, a swirl of clouds moving in. We've got areas of showers, thunderstorms, and rain coming into the west coast right now, and some high clouds developing out ahead of it. And here's the low center, just off the coast of Oregon, swinging its way south. But at the same time, southwest winds aloft will push in some very warm air. 60s, 70s, and some 80-degree temperatures are coming today, and especially warm east of the Continental Divide tomorrow. Now, ahead of this system, there is going to be a little bit of severe weather today out in this part of the United States with some strong to severe thunderstorms as the southerly wind flow transporting higher humidity air into parts of the Midwest. But as the trough comes in, this is by noon tomorrow, the strong front boundary is coming into western Wyoming by noon tomorrow, through Utah, through the Great Basin states, and coming our way. This is why it's going to get so windy tomorrow. This big difference in air temperature behind the front, big changes in pressure, a lot going on. Really, it's a classic, very intense, moist, unstable front that you get these times of year. April and May, famous for these. Tomorrow, look at the risk of severe weather in this axis right here. So across the eastern Dakotas, through central and eastern Nebraska, western Kansas, into the panhandles, there could be an enhanced area. This enhanced, ENH here, means a really high risk of severe weather. Wind, hail, tornado activity. As we mentioned yesterday, we think there might be a little westward shift of severe weather. I would not be surprised if a couple of severe thunderstorms develop right here Friday afternoon and evening and early Friday night. So we'll need to keep an eye on that. This is the risk of large hail with this system, and you can see, hey, it's that time of year where we got to start worrying about things like that. Now I want to step you through what it looks like by Saturday. This is for noon Saturday. The European model's got a strong, well-developed low in southwestern areas of South Dakota. The counterclockwise spin around this is going to pull up moisture from here, wrap it around the storm, and bring a really moist, unstable atmosphere back here into eastern Montana, northern Wyoming, and the western Dakotas. If we were now to zoom in, let's compare the modeling, and this is why we're so confident. A lot of times we show you where there's these giant disagreements, but they're pretty much in agreement. This is why it looks like a sure bet. This is the European model for noon Saturday, the Canadian model, and the U.S. model. Yeah, there's some subtle differences, and those subtle differences could bring a different amount of snow or rain to some select areas. But for the most part, the overall general trend is in very strong agreement of an intense spring storm. This is the lightning strike potential by tomorrow afternoon. So you can see across the Pacific Northwest, Utah, Colorado, parts of Wyoming, and then here is that severe weather that's being forecasted tomorrow afternoon and evening. This is by sundown tomorrow. So you'll see an active area of thunderstorms developing here over northeastern Wyoming, western South Dakota, the Panhandle, northern Panhandle areas of Nebraska. By Friday night, notice this. This is by Friday afternoon, but Friday night, this is that area of potential severe weather I talked about. You see these little areas right here? This is basically showing a thunderstorm moving northeast and developing here. So there could be some of you could get lucky in the sense that you might get some rain, badly needed rain, over parts of eastern Colorado or western Kansas and southwest Nebraska. But here's the problem. There's going to be probably severe weather with that. High winds, hail, those are the things we need to watch out with. But I think anybody would take rain if they could in that area. And you can see there's 3 larger cells developing and then a cluster of thunderstorms developing here. What we're initially going to see is there is going to be a fair amount of rain with this storm before it turns over to snow. That's going to happen overnight Friday and the Saturday. Here's the cumulative storm totals through Sunday afternoon. Notice there is a boundary. We showed you this yesterday. Basically, from South Pass, the southern end of the Wind River Mountains, to near Casper, to Douglas, to Lusk, the Pine Ridge, the higher terrain that's right here, kind of is the dividing line between the heavier moisture to the north and the lighter amounts south of here. But notice the high country getting into the snow. We'll talk about that here in a minute. So you can pretty much cut Wyoming in half, the northern Panhandle in half, then western South Dakota. Look at these totals. Oh my gosh. Into southwestern North Dakota, eastern Montana, and far northeastern Wyoming. Those areas that were hit by the blizzard not that long ago. Good amounts of moisture, even into the Bighorn Basin of northwestern Wyoming. Now, I want to focus in a little bit on the immediate area. Crook County, Weston County, Campbell County, Johnson County. Johnson County, Wyoming is in a little bit of a downslope hole. That's why there's a little bit of a, maybe not as much moisture right there. That could fill in though, but you can definitely see where the heavier precipitation is. That is predicting 3 inches of water. Now keep in mind, computer models tend to over forecast things, but there is the potential, I think, for 1 to 3 inches of water in those orange and red areas that you see. But look at the snow in the Bighorns here. Also, for you folks in Hot Springs County, Wyoming, Thermopolis area, this type of storm hits the Owl Creek Mountains really hard and the Thermopolis area. Also good moisture there. South Pass, Togety Pass, Powder River Pass, Teton Pass, all going to see significant snow. Then the counterclockwise flow behind the system, bringing that moist, unstable air in from the Pacific. I think we're going to have heavy snow in the upper North Platte Basin of Colorado, Colorado River Basin as well, South Platte River Basin, and then even good snows back into the Wasatch here, the Wind River Mountains. So this is going to be a big boon to the snowpack, a big boon to the Black Hills snowpack as well. You know, talk about an area that really needs it here. Well, really everywhere on this map needs it. But this area in particular, these northeast counties of Wyoming, this will be the best looking storm in quite a while. Look at the snowfall amounts. Now, this is showing over 2 feet of snow here. Could that happen? Yes. So this is certainly going to be a concern for those folks there. Although I'll tell you, this storm is not as cold as the last storm. So there is going to be a fair amount of rain turning over to snow. In fact, I think some of you, even in those pink areas, will have snow on the grassy areas and the cold surfaces, not necessarily piling up or as cold as the last one. Nonetheless, anyone calving or lambing in these areas, you need to be ready. Here is the wind through tomorrow. See these strong winds stretching all the way through here, then east of the divide. These are going to be strong westerly winds down here, strong southeasterly winds coming in here from the southeast today and Friday. And then tomorrow night into Saturday, high winds develop along the storm center here. That's why, again, this area is in the bullseye for major winter storm conditions late Friday night through Saturday night. I want to quickly touch on La Nina. Got some La Nina updates for you. La Nina continues to be robust, and boy, is it one stubborn La Nina. The latest forecast out for La Nina shows it is staying in a cooler status all the way up to late summer, early fall. This is where it currently is right now. So there is a continued trend of a slow weakening in La Nina, but extremely slow. It is really not going to be until the end of this year before we can put it to bed. But notice this has happened before. A lot of folks have been saying that 21 and 22 and 2020, a lot like 2012. Well, look what happened, same time frame. And notice the structure of the cold. The colder waters in the Pacific, very similar to what we had in the 2011 to 2012 and the 2021 and 2020 time frame. About 10 years apart is when we can expect these strong La Ninas to form. The long-range forecast, though, shows this red bars here slowly moderating sea surface temperatures while they slowly, you can see this graph here. The blue means colder, the red means warmer. So a convergence here in these lines means late fall, early winters before La Nina will completely go away. Lots going on. We'll have more updates for you tomorrow.